Greetings of peace and good health to all of you. I am Dr. Roel A. Monsanto from the College of Hospitality and Tourism Management of the University of Cebu, Lapu-Lapu and Mandawi campus. Today, I am going to do a demonstration of online teaching for the subject Food and Beverage Services and Operations. Now, this subject has a laboratory component, so I hope I would be able to share with you what I have learned and probably new approaches or new insights about how to conduct online teaching, most especially for subjects with laboratory component. Thank you very much. All right. Good morning, my dear students. Thank you very much for waking up so early and attending this class. Today, we will be talking about the four main types of restaurant service. But before that, I would like to ask everyone to please bow down your heads for our opening prayer.
Our loving God, we bring your presence with us. We speak your compassion, your grace, your mercy, and we ask you to share your gift of peace. We acknowledge your power over all that will be spoken, thought, decided, and done throughout the day. Lord, when we are confused, guide us. When we are discouraged and losing hope, energize us. May the work that we do and the way we do it bring faith, joy, and a smile to all that we come in contact with today. Bless our family, our home, our nation. May truly care for the earth and the community of life as we try to promote your dream for justice and liberation. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So we are going to start now. Again, thank you very much for waking up so early to attend my class. And today we will be talking about the four main types of restaurant service. Now, house rules. Kindly turn off your microphone. You can turn it on once I announce that you may do so, okay? In order to avoid unnecessary interactions or unnecessary noises, that's why I am asking you to turn off your microphone. I am also asking you to be please attentive and avoid unnecessary activities. You might be doing something else that I cannot see. So at this point, I am asking you to please give to me your full attention and don't do unnecessary things, okay? Next, you have to prepare a notepad, pen, and a paper because you will be taking down notes on top of what I have provided to you in our Google Classroom. So yes, I have already posted the materials in our Google Classroom, but there are information, there are things that I might be discussing or I might utter along the way that are not included in the handout, so, or in the materials that I have posted. So you have to prepare a notepad, pen and paper. Pen and paper because we will be having an activity later on. Yes, you heard me right. We will be having an activity later on. Next, question and answer portion will follow right after my discussion. So don't worry, reserve your questions for later because there will be a part in our class wherein I will be allowing you to raise questions, all right? But if there is really a need to interact while the discussion is going on, just click the raise hand button and I will be allowing you to interact. You might have something that you would like to share in the class, so I am also open to that. All right. Finally, you have to enjoy, okay? This platform will allow you to become strong and independent. Now, I know online classes may be new to you, but we have to embrace the new normal in the delivery of quality hospitality education, okay? So this platform will also allow you to be strong and independent because you are on your own, okay? That is now what you call adulthood. Now, in life, ladies and gentlemen, it's similar to that, okay? You are on your own. All right, so those are our house rules in order to set order in my online classroom. Now, before I start my discussion about the 4 main types of restaurant service, I'd like to share with you a video entitled Gordon Ramsay, This is My Philosophy on Restaurants.
Restaurant Gordon Ramsay to me is so special because of its uniqueness. It runs on passion, adrenaline, and more importantly, creativity. Every time you step through those doors, you feel special. Every time you light up that stove in the kitchen, it feels unique. And every dish that flies off that hot plate, it's magical. Having spent the last 30 years mastering my craft, the experience I've gathered and the knowledge I have goes into every dish that gets created. But more importantly, run by a team that are equally talented, hungry, ambitious, and absolutely at the top of their game. The man running the kitchen behind Gordon Ramsay is Matt Abbey, one of the most talented, one of the most driven, and one of the most passionate chefs in Britain today. Having that young, tenacious, ambitious creativity on those plates today helps to keep Restaurant Gordon Ramsay at the top of its game. It's fronted by the most amazing maitre d', Jean-Claude, who eats, drinks, sleeps Restaurant Gordon Ramsay. There's no maitre d' anywhere in the world with that level of insight, memory and passion. Jean-Claude's service, in my mind, is the best in the world. The head sommelier, James Lloyd. James's palate as a top sommelier is as finessed as a young chef. His encyclopedia mind of the blend of the grape and the understanding of the dish that was matched brilliantly with that wine comes down to years and years of experience. Restaurant Gordon Ramsay over the last 20 years has helped to reinstate the importance of British cuisine. It's highlighted some of the best produce grown locally. I've always said from day one, the better the product, the little it needs doing to it. You never ever forget for decades about the flavour. That's the memory that you can never buy. For me, The secret of the next 20 years is to stay on top of the game. Never, ever take your foot off the gas. And remember, you're only as good as your last plate. Restaurant Gordon Ramsay to me is more than just a restaurant. It's my life.
All right. The video talks about why are we here in the first place? Why there are hospitality professionals. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that the very essence of our course, the very essence of this program is crafting wonderful memories. You know, there are so many wonderful memories in our life that will be celebrated in a restaurant. When you celebrate something, when you achieve something, you go to a restaurant not just to eat, but to celebrate. When you get married, you will have hospitality professionals helping you, making the moment even more special. Soon, when you graduate in college, you will celebrate. And more often, these celebrations will happen or will take place in the restaurant. So that's why I want you to understand why we need to be careful and why we need to study service, restaurant service, okay? Because we are the master orchestrators of life's most wonderful memories. Remember that. When people come to the restaurant, they are expecting quality service because they are celebrating something, because they are happy with something, or because they are engaged in a business. So, us, hospitality professionals, we have to deliver utmost service in order to, to give life or to give color to the success that they are celebrating, to the new business ventures that they are into. We are there, okay? So that's what Gordon Ramsay is trying to convey to all of us. Now, speaking of restaurant service, there are actually four main types, okay? And that is what we are going to talk about this morning. Now, for our objectives, at the end of this session, you will be able to compare and contrast the four main types of restaurant service. There are so many restaurants, there are so many types of restaurant service that are being used or being employed by different restaurants all over the world. But we will be talking about the four major types, okay? Because other types of restaurant service actually sprung from these four. So we will be focusing our attention to these four types of restaurant service, okay? Namely the American service, the Russian service, the English service, and of course, the French service. Next, identify the practical application of the four main types of restaurant service. Not all of them are used altogether or are employed altogether in a restaurant, okay? You have, as a future restaurateur or as a future hospitality professional, you have to carefully consider what type of service are you going to employ when you operate a restaurant, because there are practical considerations of these four. So you have to assess well. That's why we are talking about this topic in this subject. Next, after this class, you would be able to illustrate the proper placement of tableware in Russian or American service. Now, why are we focusing on the two? Because English service and French service are actually inspired by the American service and the Russian service. By inspired, I mean the arrangement of the tableware in French service and in English service are pretty much the same with American service and Russian service. So that is why in the illustration part, I am focusing on the Russian and the American service, because when you know how to set up a table for Russian service and for American service, you will know automatically how to set a table for English service and for French service. And then finally, demonstrate the proper table setup of the 4 types of restaurant service. Yes, I am asking you to demonstrate, and I will be sharing with you the instructions later on, right after my discussion. Okay? Everything is clear? Can I see a thumbs up if everything is clear in our objectives? There you go, very good. Now, let's start. First, we have American service. Now, why among the 4, this is the first one that I have to talk about, okay? Simply because, ladies and gentlemen, American service is the most popular among the 4. Here in the Philippines, well, not only in the Philippines, but practically everywhere in the world, American service is the most popular type of restaurant service being employed in restaurants. Why? Because American service is very simple, okay? On top of that, American service is also very economical when we talk about business, because the ratio of wait staff to the number of tables is 1 wait staff is to probably around 3 or 4 tables. Okay, so you don't need much manpower if your restaurant is using the American service, unlike any other services. Okay, now let's go on with the technicality of the American service. In the American service, there are 2 variations: the European style and the American style. Okay, in Europe, if you are in Europe, which I know some of you will be working abroad in the future, and if you will work for a restaurant somewhere in Europe, the version of their American service is something like this. You serve in the right side and dish out in the right side. Okay? Right and right. You have to remember that. Serve in the right side of the guest, dish out as well in the right side. But when you go to America, which is where American service originated, obviously, the wait staff will serve the food in the left side. Okay? Left side is the service, right side is the dish out. Okay? Again, in Europe, when you serve, right, always remember, right, serve, right service, right dish out. But in America, it's right, it's left side when you serve the food, but when you dish out, it should be in the right side. Okay? Now, that is the technicality of the service in American service. American service, ladies and gentlemen, is also called the plated service. Why is it called the plated service? This is now the reason why I am telling you American service is really popular. Because in American service, the food is prepared in the kitchen. Plating, presentation, all of those are done in the kitchen. Basically, what you will see in the table are the tableware, of course, and the show plate. No other plates, only the show plate. You can see, of course, the cutlery. Cutlery, that means the spoon, the fork, the knives that you will be using. All right? Those are default setup. But you cannot see any other plates in there apart from the show plate or the underliner plate. And of course, on top of that will be the table napkin. And you have the glasses like this. Okay? Now remember, the way you set up tableware in American service and as with any other types of restaurant service, you have to consider what is stipulated in the menu. You will not set up something, or you will not set up a certain tableware if that is not necessarily needed or if it is not necessary. Okay? You have to take a look at the menu, and whatever is in the menu, then you have to set up using the correct cutlery or tableware. For example, your menu has five courses. You have appetizer, salad, soup, main dish, dessert. Let's say, for example. So you will set up. So let's talk about first appetizer. So for appetizer, since it is stipulated in the menu, then you have to and you have to think, what appetizer is this? For example, it's shrimp ceviche. Do I need to use a spoon, or do I need to use a fork for shrimp ceviche? Now the answer is yes, you need both, because so that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. That is what you called American service. Now let's proceed to the next type of restaurant service, which is the Russian service. Okay, Russian service. Now, unlike American service is pretty much straightforward and simple because it's plated service. But Russian service is opposite. Opposite. Why? Because Russian service is a very elaborate type of service. The focus is not only on serving the guest, the focus is also on the silverwares, the tableware being used in the setup. In this particular type of service, you can see extravagant and very elaborate cutlery, very elaborate tableware. Okay? Why? Because this type of restaurant service actually originated from the royal Russian household. Okay? During the time of the Tsars and the Tsarinas. And the ultimate goal of the Russian service is to impress the king. Okay? If you are the king, you only want the best in the world, even if you are just simply eating. Okay? So that was the primary purpose of Russian service. And it originated again in the Russian royal household, and it was adopted all throughout the world. There are many monarchies around the world that are also using this particular type of service. Okay. Now, as I have said, in Russian service, the table is set to shine and sparkle. Okay. In American service, again, it's straightforward. Whatever you need, it will be set up according to what is there in the menu. Okay. But there are still many tableware. In Russian service, there are also many tableware, but the focus is not just on the food. Okay. The focus is also on impressing people. Okay. This is very extravagant. Now, the main point of Russian service is that the table is all set and the weight. Okay, I am talking about the physical characteristics of Russian service. Okay, that's how it looks like. Now, in terms of service, Russian service is also very different as compared to the American service. Because in the Russian survey, if you can recall, American service, it's plated service, correct? The food is done and plated in the kitchen, and the wait staff will simply get that order and of the English service is pretty much the same with the Russian service. They will only vary in the arrangement of the glasses. Other than that, they are all the same. Okay. The major difference of English service as compared to American service and Russian service lies in the service itself. Okay? Because English service is something you don't want to do when you decide to open a restaurant business, because this is very elaborate. It is called the butler service. The ratio is, brace yourself, 1:1. Okay? If you open up a restaurant business and then you decide that you will use English service, all I can say is good luck, because the ratio of the wait staff and the guest is 1:1, because it's a butler service. Okay? Now, here's the exciting thing. In English service, you sit in one long table, okay? And the host is at the other end of the or the very front of everyone, okay? The most interesting rule in English service is this: no one should start eating if the host is not yet eating. So if I am the host, okay, the butler will serve first, let's say appetizer to me, okay, and then I will wait for all butlers to serve all of my guests. They are not allowed to eat. I should be eating first. Now, when I start eating, that's when my guests can start eating. Okay, now, when I am done eating, The moment I put down my spoon or my fork, for that matter, when the butler dishes out my plate, automatically all the rest of the butlers will dish out the plates, even if
Gracias a Dios. La sopa, Su Majestad.
¿No había terminado?
Me temo que deberán darse prisa. Los retiran en cuanto ella termina.
Uno menos, quedan 6.
a step down to, let's say, yeah, I'm using the word step down because in English service, it's very traditional. The ratio is 1:1, okay? In the French service, not necessarily 1:1, but 1 table is to 3 staff. Okay, 1 table is to 3 staff. So if there are 5 people in 1 table, so you save salaries for 2 people, okay, because you only need 3. Now, again, this is a very special kind of service. The wait staff are called chef de rang or demi-chef de rang, okay? And they will prepare the food right in front of the guest. So this is now a step up of your samgyeopsal. No. I'm just kidding. Samgyeopsal is Korean, okay? But in the Western culture, particularly in France, they call it the French service. So this is how it looks like. Let's say, for example, we are all guests, okay? When we are now seated in 1 table. Now, there will be 3 staff that will approach us. The chef de rang, the demi-chef de rang, and the sommelier. Okay. Chef de rang is the one who prepares the food right in front of us. Demi-chef de rang is the personnel assigned to serve what the chef de rang prepared. And the sommelier, of course, you know this, sommelier is the wine expert. Each and every dish served to us, he is knowledgeable what wine is best paired with that particular dish. Okay? Now, so there are 3 people that will serve us. Again, the chef de rang, the demi-chef de rang, and the sommelier. Now, in the American service, the food is prepared and plated in the kitchen. The wait staff will serve it to the guest. In Russian service, the food is prepared in the kitchen, but the wait staff will serve it and will do the plating right in front of the guest. Okay? In English service, it's 1:1. It's a step up to the American service. It's a step up to the plated service. Everything is plated, and you have one guest is to 1 butler. Now, in the French service, the food is prepared right in front of you. Okay? You have your own chef, you have your own wait staff, you have your own sommelier. And they will be standing right in front of you. The chef will prepare the food using a very special cart, which we call a guéridon. Okay? Guéridon. What is a guéridon? Guéridon it's like a portable gas stove.
The Ritz dining room is one of the bastions of classic French food, and Chef John Williams is one of Escoffier's most ardent fans.
John?
Michel.
Good to see you.
Good to
Simon,
see you.
I won't shake your hand. You're hard at work here.
Smashing. What does Escoffier mean to you?
He's the best chef in the world, first and foremost. But it's about his cooking, his heritage of France. It's about the ingredients. It's about the complexity of the sauces. It was the style, the panache of how they actually cooked.
Canard à la presse is a classic French dish which Escoffier brought to London. It's prepared partly at tableside for the entertainment of the diners.
So the supremes are taken off, or the breasts are taken off, the legs go back to the kitchen to crisp up, and then the carcass gets chopped up, and then you put them in this contraption here.
Yeah, this is...
Now, while I am with you, okay, when you say asynchronous, I'm making it very simple for you to understand. Asynchronous is an activity which is offline, okay? It doesn't have to be, you will receive clear guidance from me, but you can do it at your own pace, at your own time, okay? So we have two activities. For our synchronous activity this session, now, in 5 minutes, I would like you to illustrate the proper placement of tableware in the Russian or American service. You select only one, okay? Now, to make sure that you are not plainly copying the handouts that I have posted in our Google class, I am setting the menu in a 5-course meal. So there are 5 courses. So what are these courses? So you have appetizer, soup, salad, main dish, dessert. 5 dishes, okay? Now, you have to illustrate in consideration of the fact that it is a 5-course meal with 3 beverages of your choice. It could be wine, it could be juice, it could be water, it could be coffee, tea, whatever, okay? It should be 5 minutes only. Okay? After 5 minutes, you present your output to me while I am listening to you, okay? And then along the way, I might... Okay, go ahead.
Sir.
Go ahead. Explain to me your illustration.
My illustration is somewhat looks like the French service. I have here a display plate. Above it is a table napkin. Then
it's a French service, but it's inspired by the setup in Russian service because it looks like. Can I see it again? Okay. Go ahead, Jess.
Stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then beside my display plates or my cutleries, starting with the soup spoon, then after which is the salad knife, and together with a salad fork. Next is the appetizer knife, then the appetizer fork, then the
all of them? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What about
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you see, there is a line of intersection between all of them, and there are also outstanding differences, correct? Now,
Yes, sir.
identify the practical application of the 4 main types of restaurant service. In our discussion, I said that not all types of service, there is no one type of service that will work all the time. That would actually depend. Okay, for American service, plated, it's common. It's common. It's common. Okay, in the restaurants all throughout the world. In Russian, it's very common in cruise ships and banquets. In English, this is something that you will not see in, or you will not observe in a restaurant, because this only happens in state visits of countries like Great Britain and its Commonwealth. Okay. And this is very traditional. So this is not really for commercial uh, use, or commercial use, so to speak, or commercial application, so to speak. And then you have illustrate the proper placement of tableware in Russian service. So in our activity, I asked you to demonstrate who demonstrated, or who presented his illustration. And then finally, demonstrate the proper table of the four types of restaurant service. This is now your assignment. Checking that. Okay. Any more questions before we call it a day?
None, sir.
Okay. Now, one last thing. Before we go offline,
in the Queen City of the South, we send this one in heart. Hospitality industry is booming in the South. We can cook, we can serve, we can make you satisfied. Morally upright professionals meeting all demands. We are hospitality management. Our dreams can reach the sky. Skilled in many ways, globally competitive. We will make a future clear. We will face it with no fear. Hail HM, hail UC. Hospitality management. Hospitality management. Hospitality management.